Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. JC here with another video on Action Taimanin. Today we're gonna check another builds and tips, but before we start don't forget to leave a like, share and subscribe if you enjoy the content. So, we're gonna return to that series, and for today's topic we are gonna check those main supporter that work really well on team battles because of their extra passives. So, let's get started. And over here in inventory, we're gonna start with color green. And starting with green, we gotta highlight something before we even start the topic. So, particularly for Total War, you basically want to use Yuri Hisui on your main DPS because this one is going to increase tremendously the damage, not because of the extra passive, but rather the active. And that's gonna help you with your score. But, if you use another character with a green build, you're gonna want to take notice of these supporters. So we're gonna start with Corporate Warrior Ingrid. Yeah, over here we have Corporate Warrior Ingrid. This one has a nice passive that gives you damage reduction and critical damage increase, but more importantly, it has an extra passive that is going to conjure an aura that is going to increase the damage you deal to the enemy. As long as they are near the enemy, they're going to increase the damage the enemy takes. And that's really useful. It is, in fact, one of the first supporters that was used on Total War. Now, it has dropped in usage, but it's still pretty viable. Don't forget about this one. Then, for the next one, we have Fire God Micah. I know this is not everyone's favorite supporter because it is extremely niche, but the supportive capabilities are there. It is particularly good on normal content like events. It can be used, yes, on Time of 5 VR, and it is not the greatest idea on Total War, definitely. So, even so, I think this is a really strong supporter when you are manually piloting the characters. So you might consider it. It increases the critical rate of your protect type teams and increases the particle charge. If you're using a strategy that abuses either ulti spam or weapon active spam, then this is going to be the supporter that you want to use. And it's going to give you just free critical for your protect type teams. That's really nice. Then, for the next one, we have Tempest Lina. Tempest Lina. Where is Tempest Lina? Over here. Yeah, Tempest Lina. So this one is more on the defensive side. It reduces damage taken from demon type demon type enemies on allies by 30%. That's really substantial. This one is pretty good for BR. Not that great on Total War, but really good on BR. And not only that, it gives you penetration on the main, which is really useful on BR. So you might want to consider this one. Then, for the next one, we have, yeah, you guessed it, it's Taimanin Shinmora. Taimanin Shinmora, it is already a really strong supporter that gives you a ton of damage increase while increasing the damage you take, but it doesn't really matter. And it also heals you. And on top of that, the extra passive is going to give you both demons and humans, which are the vast majority of the playable characters, a 24% damage increase for the whole team. That's amazing. That's great. It is good on every kind of content that you can put this on. It is just amazing. Even on single content, it is great. So yeah, just use this one. And let's not talk about the active. The active inflicts deep freeze, which is going to increase damage by 30% just by being freeze. God, it is really good. Well, now let's go to blue. On blue, we have a little bit less options, but still, we got some good things. With Phantom Shiranui. Phantom Shiranui is only going to be usable for dedicated human teams. You are going to increase the damage of your human team by 16%. It's okay, it is usable. And it further increases the damage of the protect type character that has this equipped by 21%, well, at 4 out of 5, and increases the max HP. Let's see how far it can go. 24 and 20%. Yeah, that's nice, that's useful. And the active, let's see, deals damage and restores HP. Yeah, the HP restoration is useful, especially for proccing some special effects. Then we have Lapis. Lapis, it is another defensive option, just like Tempest Lina. Reduces the damage from all enemies by 24% for demon type characters. So you want to use this on your demon type teams, but it isn't like the best option. Actually, you prefer to equip this one on the sub slot because it has a great effect on the speed increase and damage increase on basics. Super good if you equip it on Felicia. Yeah, she's just a monster with this supporter. And then we have Worshipper Lapis. This one is a little bit better, but still, it doesn't have an actual niche on the main just yet. So why not? Critical is heavily penalized on VR, even though you can use it. And you don't want extra crit on Total War, you want extra damage. That's why this 30% extra crit for your demon type allies is not that effective. You can use it on events and it's gonna be okay. But good news. You can even use this on Total War if you want, because it's going to increase the damage of the damage dealt by your characters, because it applies a debuff onto the enemy. If you equip this on the sub slot, you don't want it on the main, but it does have this effect that is pretty good. Just we don't have content when we want to use this right now. Then we have, of course, Mirabelle. Impossible to talk about extra passives without talking about Mirabelle. Mirabelle is just great. She gives you a ton of effects. Increases critical rate, has a 20% chance to inflict a debuff that increases damage taken by 24% when you land a crit. Has an extra passive that reduces damage taken by 16% for protected characters, and the active increases damage dealt for all allies by 40%, and it increases the speed of machine type characters. It is so strong. God. So you have to use this one. It is just that good. Lastly, we have the red ones. For the red ones, we have more options actually. So we're gonna start with Evil Flower Aska. So Evil Flower Aska has a pretty bad main, but the extra passive, the pretty bad main effect, but the extra passive is going to give you damage increase for machine type characters. That's really useful. You're going to increase the team's performance, and you can equip this on a supporter that is going to increase the damage of the party, debuff the enemy, and this is like equipping another supporter on your main attacker. That's great. Let's see. Other than that, we have, oh yeah, of course, Gear Shisui. Gear Shisui basically is only going to be used with only a handful of characters, but the main one is going to be Shisui herself. If you equip this on the main, it has a great effect on the active that increases damage taken of the enemy by 50%. That's hefty. And it has an extra passive that reduces damage taken for suppressed type allies by 30%. That's also pretty big. That's nice. You're going to become extremely tanky on your suppressed type teams. The issue is finding a good target. Basically, you want this maybe on tank Shisui, but red isn't exactly the best color for tanking for Shisui. Even so, she can do it. So you might consider using this one. Then. Oh yeah, of course, Tokiko. Indomitable Tokiko is super good because it increases damage dealt by all characters' range attacks by 10%. That sounds pretty small, but it is going to work for some of the best attacks in the game, because some of the best attacks are ranged. So it's going to be really useful. Not only that, the main passive is going to decrease the speed of the enemy, and it increases the damage dealt with normal attacks by the character equipped by, I guess, 30%? Yeah, it's gonna be 30%. And the speed reduction is 40% if you have this 5 out of 5. God, it is so strong. Yeah. Well, anyways. Then we have Spinel. You know it, everyone knows it. Spinel is probably one of the best red supporters out there. Even though it basically doesn't have a main effect, it does have the active and the extra passive. The extra passive is basically a 28% damage increase for your demon type allies, and that's the kind of effect that you get on the main effect. So yeah, it's pretty good. Again, if you equip this on your supporter, the buffer, it's going to increase the damage of the main attacker tremendously. And it also stops the enemy on its tracks by applying Bind. That it's a speed debuff of 100%. That's pretty good. Then, the next one is going to be Kichi Asusa. Sword Dancer Kichi Asusa. This one is a little bit different. So, most of the effects that we have seen, the extra passives, are going to affect the whole party. This one does not. But, it does provide good value. And it has other effects that are going to affect the whole party. It gives penetration for the character who is doing a critical attack that has this equipped. And it's also applying critical resistance reduction, which is going to help out with consistency on the crits. And the critical damage increase is pretty impactful. So yeah, you want this one. Then we have Threshold Astaroth. She is a campaign supporter, a seasonal supporter. So that means that 3 copies were given to us for free. 1 was on the pack and we're still missing 1. It is a pretty decent supporter considering that they gave us 3 copies for free. She's going to give you 20% damage reduction when you have it on the main. When you 4 machine type characters or demo type characters, and you're gonna get damage increase if you have machine type allies. For the demon type allies, it is not that effective, but I mean, critical rate is fine. Then the last one is going to be Back Alley Ingrid. Back Alley Ingrid is a really good supporter. She's basically going to give you like a 50% damage increase. A little bit more than that, but it's basically a 50% damage increase with her main effects when we have it maxed out. And it has a passive that increases critical rate of demo type allies by 16%. Or is it 8%? No, it's 16%. I don't have this one maxed out just yet. So yeah, that's also nice. Not to mention that she's also going to reduce the critical resistance by 30% for 8 seconds with the active. So yeah, she's good for critting. Again, unfortunately, right now, we don't have content where we can use a team and pilot the team. And we want to crit. We don't want to crit on VR. We do want to crit on Total War, but we don't pilot the characters. So right now, all those critical rate and critical damage increase are a little bit at a disadvantage compared to the damage increase supporters. Those have the upper hand right now. But do keep them in mind. Also, I didn't mention one in particular, and that's Kichi Asusa, because even though she does have an effect that is going to benefit the whole team, it has an extra passive. Basically, it is worthless due to how the math works, and we only take advantage of the extra passive. Maybe later I'll do another video about supporters that you want on the subslot that are going to provide a lot of value for your team compositions. So Anyways, that's about it for today, guys. Let me know in the comments which other supporters I missed, which other supporters you put on your main slot to provide a value for your whole team. That's gonna be it for today. I hope you find this useful, and I'll be seeing you next time. Bye!